Hello everyone, welcome back to MalStorm Gaming. My name is Gardner, and today I'm going to be finishing up my solo playthrough of the BattleQuest game mode for BattleCon. I hope you all enjoy the video. Alright everyone, so where we left off last time was we were entering the room F, which is the Horde of Imps. So we have our two imps here, and then we have our werewolf here. Now because we claimed the bonus objective of clearing the last room, which was the Filthy Ooze room, in 10 beats or less, all the enemies in this room have 3 less starting HP, which is really cool. What that means is that these imps who start with 3 HP now have 0 HP. So they are immediately defeated. Because of the special ability of this room, which essentially says that we only need to defeat this werewolf to pass on to the next room, and whenever we defeat one of these imps, we will respawn a new imp at the space that's the furthest away from the player. Now this creates an odd combination of abilities because the imps start with 3 fewer HP, which means that they have no starting HP, which means that they just die as soon as they're placed onto the board. But as soon as they die, they're going to be respawned, and then they just die again. So, unless, again, I'm doing something wrong, that is the most logical way I can see that this ability works out. So essentially, we do not have to place these imps. And so we just have to deal with the werewolf, who normally has 12 HP, but because of the special effect from clearing the previous room in under 10 beats, we only have to give this werewolf 9 HP, which is going to make it much easier to defeat. Now, we also need to remember that this is the second to last room, so after this werewolf is defeated, we're going to go on to the next room, which is going to be the boss battle room. So that is going to be very exciting, and hopefully we'll be able to defeat Baroness Ancella's ghost. And we have 31 health here off to the side. So we have got our 5s and then 1. So we have 31 health here, which is plenty of health, I believe. And then, of course, we have our auto deflector and health regen stone. Also, as I remembered at the end of the last episode, we also have a life potion that we're able to use, which will allow us to regain 4 life when we ante this. So that will allow us to gain a bunch of additional hit points. And so I think we are going to be able to win, most likely, if we do everything strategically. So, let's go ahead and pick out our first attack pair. The werewolf does not have any special abilities that we need to worry about, because the only special ability that the werewolf has is an ability that says it gets +2 power for the rest of the duel when another werewolf is defeated. So because we have only one werewolf to deal with in this room, and we haven't already defeated any in this room, this werewolf is not going to get a +2 bonus to power, so it's just going to be a standard enemy with no special abilities other than, of course, its actions. So the attack pair that I chose is this Diffusion Drive right here, which is going to be very good for this situation, I believe. So first we have a priority of 5, which the highest priority that the werewolf is going to be able to have is actually 4. So this means we're going to be able to go faster than the werewolf, no matter which of the enemy activation tokens we draw. Second, we are going to be able to advance 1 to 2 spaces, so we'll be able to advance to here, and then we're going to have a range of 1 to 2, which will allow us to be in range of the werewolf to deal him 2 damage, unless I augment that with some sort of anti-ability. And then when I hit him, I'm going to be able to push him 1 to 2 spaces, and then I'm going to be able to take advantage of this Chip 2 ability because he's going to be on the edge of the arena. And then, of course, I can deactivate a stim, so I'm able to use a stim, gain its effect, and then deactivate it so I don't have to suffer the penalty. And then, of course, I can just move adjacent to him at the end of the beat, which will set me up for the next turn, which will be handy. So I'm going to use this power infusion, so then I'll have a +1 power plus an additional +1 power from my rush effect, so I'll be +2. And then I'm also going to ante this power up by spending 2 force, and that will give me a total power of 5, which is going to be very powerful. Then I'm going to use this healing stone to gain 1 life, putting us at 32. And that is everything I'm going to do. So now we are going to shovel up the enemy activation tokens and reveal one. Alright, so let's take this one right here. And this is a number 6. So The 6th ability is going to be Regeneration, which is going to have a range and power of blank, so nothing. And then it has a priority of 4, and then it's going to have 0 stun guard. And then it says after activating, you're going to regain 4 life, and you get +2 power next beat. So he's going to try to heal. So that would be bad for us, except we are going to go faster than him with our priority of 5, which beats his priority of 4. So we're going to do our activation before he does. So we're going to advance 1 or 2 spaces. We will advance 2 spaces. And then we're going to have a range of 1 to 2. So we're going to target right here. So then we hit him, and then we can push him 1 to 2 spaces. So I'll push him 2. Since he's at the edge of the arena now, we're going to deal him 2 chip damage. Whoops, knock those over. So it's going to be 3 power -1, so 2. Then 2 from here, so it'll be 4. And then 1 power from the power-up, so it's 5 damage. Putting him down to 2 health. And then we're going to deactivate this stim card. And that is going to be our activation. Now the werewolf is going to go. Now we did him 5 damage from our attack. And so that is going to be well over his stun guard of 0, which means he's not going to activate. And just a little side note, the chip damage we dealt to him does not contribute to going over his stun guard. Chip does not ever factor into play when considering did you stun an enemy or not. It's just the attack from your power. Just wanted to clarify that. But in this case it doesn't matter because he's stunned anyway. So now we're going to go through the end of beat step, and that is going to allow us to close as far as possible. So we'll just go right there. And then we will cycle everything through. So now we just need to do 2 damage to this werewolf to defeat him. And Grasp seems like our card because it's very fast. And as we've discussed earlier, a priority of 5 will go faster than any attack that he could possibly throw at us. So I'm just going to do Toxic as well. So I'm going to do a Toxic Grasp. And this will give 6 priority, which is way more than we need. But I just wanted Toxic so that it doesn't reduce any of the power effects. And then I'm also going to take this infusion again to give us 2 more power. So we have 4 power, which is going to be a lot more than we need. But it's going to be nice just to have it in case the werewolf has armor. Alright. And it's going to be 5. So that is actually an ability with armor. So this is Counter Claw. So the werewolf's ability is going to have 1 to 2 range, 3 power, 1 priority, and 3 stun guard. And then it's going to have armor 3, which means the first 3 damage we do to it is going to be ignored. And then it says it gets +4 power if you took damage. So if we deal him damage before he goes, then he's going to become more powerful. So we have a priority of 6, which is going to vastly beat his priority of 1. So we are going to go first. And what we're going to do is, first for Toxic, we're going to double the stats on active stim cards, not their rush effects. So this is going to give us 3 power instead of just 2. And then we're going to be able to attack him. We're within range, and we're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5 damage to him again. And he has 3 armor, which will prevent the first 3 damage we've dealt to him, but then 2 damage is still dealt to him, which means that he is defeated. Alright, so that was a very quick room, and we weren't dealt any damage. In fact, we actually gained 1 life out of that room, so that was a very good room for us. And a large part of that was because we got the bonus from the Filthy Ooze room. That would have been much more difficult if we had to deal with all those imps as well. So now we're going to go into the final room, which is Baroness Ancella's sarcophagus. And this boss fight is going to have a bunch of special abilities, which is going to make it really interesting. And so I'm just going to go set that up, and I'll be right back. Alright, so the final boss battle room is all set up, and you'll notice there's a bunch of tokens on the board. So first we have these force tokens on the 1st and 9th spaces of the board, and those do not exist for this boss fight. So this boss fight only takes place on a 7-space board. Second, you'll notice that there are 4 spaces here that have wound tokens above them, and those are going to be red spaces. When the boss, which is Baroness Ancella's ghost, If she is on a space that is red or regular, then you have to be on that same type of space. So, if she's on a red space, you also need to be on a red space to hit her. If she's on a normal space, then you are going to need to be on a normal space as well. So, this is going to make it very tricky as we try to fight her because she's got 22 HP and we need to get a lot of hits in, but we have to be on the same colored space as she's going to be. And she's going to be teleporting and doing all sorts of things like that. So we're going to need to be moving around and it's going to be kind of tricky. Alright, so the attack pair I've selected is going to be a gravity drive. And this is going to be very useful because with gravity, we're going to be able to pull Baroness Ancilla instead of advancing. We'll make her go where we want her to be on the correct color of space, and then it'll be much more predictable and easy to hit her. So then I am going to select this as our infusion for this round. So we're going to get +2 power. And then I think that I am going to go ahead and speed up. So we're going to spend 2 force, and then we can ante the speed up, which will give us a priority of +2. And then I'm also going to ante both of these tokens. So I'm going to regain 1 life, and then gain 2 armor for this beat. And you may notice that we have a lot more 1s than we did. We used to have more 5s. I just took out some of those 5s because I ran out of 5s to make her 22 health. And having a stack of 1s here is easier than having a stack of 1s here, and we need to move around. So let's go ahead and see what the Ghost of Baroness Ancilla is going to do. Alright, so this is going to be a 1, which means it's going to be a whale. So whales have a range of 1 to 4, a power of 3, a priority of 4, and a stun guard of 5. And then her attack ignores guard, which means that if we had stun guard and she hit us, we would still be stunned, no matter how much damage would be dealt. And then after activating, she's going to retreat 1 space. So that's going to be interesting. Now, she has a priority of 4. We have a priority of 4 + 2, so we're going to have 6, which means that we are actually going to go first. So I'm going to advance 1 or 2 spaces, but that will be converted into pulling because of gravity. So then I will pull her 1 space right there. Now our range is going to be 2 to 4, so we are within range. And we are on the same color space, so we're going to be able to hit her. With the hit ability, we're going to either be able to push her 1 to 3 spaces or pull her 1 to 3 spaces. So I think I'm going to pull her 3 spaces. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3. And so now when she tries to retreat, she's just going to go back into the wall and stay on that color space. Our power is going to be 3 + 2, so it'll be 5 power, and so it's going to be 5 damage. Now it's going to be her turn, and we managed to do 5 damage to her, and her stun guard is also 5. But unfortunately, she was not dealt damage that is greater than her stun guard. So we met her stun guard, but we didn't surpass it, so she's actually going to take her turn. So she's going to deal 3 damage to us, because we are within range. So she's going to do, so we are within range, so she's going to deal 3 damage to us. But I'm glad I antied this, because this gives us armor 2, so we're actually only going to lose 1 health. Alright. And then she's going to retreat 1 space, and so she's going to go backwards away from us, and she's actually on the edge of the board, so she's not going to move at all. Alright, we're going to gain 1 force, and then we will cycle everything through. And finally, we are going to suffer chip 1 from our sustain effect, so we just lost 1 life there. Alright, so I'm going to do a Toxic Strike, and then that will give us a priority of 4 and a power of 4 as well. And we're going to double the stats on all active stims, and then if we have 2 or more active stims, we're going to close 3 at the beginning of our turn. So I am actually going to take advantage of that for the first time. I'm going to ante this, which will give us 2 priority, and then of course we're going to double it, so it'll give us 3 priority, because the rush effect is not doubled. And then we will be able to advance next to her if she ends up running away from us. So let's see what happens. 5, okay. Her number 5 ability is Phantasm, and she's going to have a range of 1 to 2, a power of 4, a priority of 4, stun guard of 0. Then she has a start beat ability saying advance until you are on a different colored space than the opponent. So this is actually going to end up being pretty bad for us. So she's got a priority of 4, we have a priority of 6, which means that we're going to go first. Start of beat ability says we can close 3 spaces. So we are actually already adjacent to her, so that's not going to do anything. Now back to her, she's going to advance until she's on a different color space, which is just going to end up being 1 space there. So now she is on a red space and we're on a non-red space, so we're not going to be able to hit her. And so that means that she's going to hit us, but we're not going to be able to hit her. And that is not good, folks. So now it is going to be our turn. We would be able to hit her for 6 damage, but unfortunately, she is on a different color space as us, so she's going to avoid our attack. And then on her turn, she's going to deal 4 damage to us. So that is not good. Okay. So now we're going to suffer chip 2 from having those stim cards out. Alright, so I'm going to go with a Switch Frenzy. And with Switch, we're not really going to use its ability. We're mostly just going to want to get the extra force from the end of beat ability here. We're not really going to do anything with this reveal effect. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to switch my finisher. But that extra force will be nice. And then, of course, we're going to have all of our stats here. And since we have 2 or more active stims, we're going to get +2 power from Frenzy, and then afterwards we're going to be able to deactivate any number of our stims. And so I'm going to ante this final stim here, so I'll have all of my stims activated, and then I will be able to deactivate all of them at the end of this beat, so I won't have to lose 3 life. Then I'm going to ante a power-up to give us +1 power, so that will give us a total power of 5. And then let's go ahead and check to see what the enemy's doing. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and ante my health potion, which will allow me to regain 4 hit points. So I just got rid of 1 there, and now we have a 5. So that means that we undid the nasty damage that she was able to do to us last turn. So let's see. Alright, it's another number 5, which is bad because that is exactly what happened last turn. So we are, again, faster than she is. This time we have a priority of 5 and she has a priority of 4, so we're going to go first, and we have to advance 1 space from our Frenzy ability, so we're going to go here, and then her Phantasm ability is going to make her advance 1 space because now she's on a different color than we are. And now it's our turn, and we are going to hit her for no damage, because we are in opposite colored spaces. And then she's going to go, and she's going to deal 4 damage to us, which is bad. But luckily we have our infusion here, which is going to allow us to have armor 2, so we're only going to lose 2 life. Also, one thing I did forget is we do get to deactivate all of these abilities here, so we're not going to actually have to suffer any chip. And then, whoops, let's gain 1 force from normal, and then 1 force for our switch effect. Do I want to switch my finisher around? I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to end up using it because you really need to have your health pretty low to use this, so I don't think that's going to happen. Hopefully. Yeah, hopefully. So we're going to recycle everything. And hopefully we're going to be able to land a hit on her because we need to do some damage. Alright, so the attack pair I've chosen is going to be the Diffusion Burst, and hopefully this will allow us to hit the Baroness Ancilla. I'm going to ante both of these tokens to give me armor 2 and then regen 1 health. And then I'm also going to ante a power-up by discarding 2 force tokens. And then I'm also going to take this stim card right here, and hopefully I'll be able to do a big hit. And hopefully she won't avoid my attack again, because if this keeps on happening, I could actually lose, which would be very bad. So this is going to be a 6, and that's going to be Soul Rip. So Soul Rip has a range of X, a power of 7, a priority of 6, and a stun guard of 0. It ignores armor, and then the range is the type of colored spaces you are not on. So if the colored space we're on is opposite from what she's on, then we're going to take a ton of damage. But luckily, we have our burst, which has a start of beat effect of retreat 1 or 2 spaces. So I'm going to retreat 2 spaces, And now we are on the same color. So she's going to go first because she has priority 6 and we only have 2. And she's going to attack all the red spaces for 7 damage, which is insane, but we avoided that. And now we are going to be able to go. So we have a range of 2 to 4. So 1, 2, 3, we're going to be able to hit her. And we have a power of 3 minus 1 plus 1 plus 2. So that is going to come out to be 5 damage, which seems to be a total we're able to reach often with this character, which is very good. So that's going to do 5 damage to her, but first we have a hit effect of push 1 or 2 spaces, and now that she's on the wall, we're going to give her chip 2. So that's 2 damage from chip, and then 5 damage from our power, from our attack, and so that is going to be a total of 7 damage in 1 turn, which is amazing. Then we're going to deactivate this stim, and now she's gone and we've gone, so it's going to be the end of the beat. We're going to close, and now we're both on red spaces, which is good. And then we're going to gain 1 force and cycle everything through. Alright, so that turn kind of put us back into the running, and hopefully we will be able to continue on dealing damage to her and actually win. Alright, so I'm going to go for a Toxic Drive, which will be able to do a decent amount of damage, and then we have a little bit of advancing that we're able to do if she tries to run away, and so hopefully we will be able to hit her. Maybe. I don't know. She's tricky. So we are going to, I'm going to ante this infusion again to give me plus 2 power, and then plus 1 because the toxic gives me double of the bonus. So that'll be a total of 6 power. And let's see, hopefully it's not something that makes her move. And it is a 2. So 2. So it's going to be the 3-6 range attack with 4 power, 0 priority, and 0 stun guard. Before activating, she's going to teleport to the red space furthest from the opponent, and then on damage she's going to give me minus 2 power for the next beat. So we have 4 priority, which means that we're going to beat her 0 priority, and we're going to go first. So we advance 1 to 2 spaces. Now, we can't advance any more without going off the edge of the board, so we don't advance at all. And then we are within range. So we're going to deal 3, 4, 5, and then 6 damage to her, which will put her down to 4 life remaining. So that is very good. And 1 more mediocre to good hit will put her out of action. So now we've stunned her, so on her turn she's not going to be able to activate, which is good. And then we are going to recycle everything, gain 1 force, and then suffer 1 damage from our sustain effect. So that's going to be everything, and now, hopefully, we will be able to take her out this beat. Okay, so I think I'm going to go for a shock shot, and this has a large range, super large range of 1 to 4, and then we also are going to be able to advance or retreat 3 or more spaces. If she does not move at all, we'll just move right here, and we'll both be on the red spaces and within range, and I'll just be able to take her out. But if she does move, we'll have a ton of flexibility, and hopefully we'll be able to hit her. And then end this. So we have minus 1 power from our shot, plus 3 power from our shot, and then we have plus 1 from our infusion, so that'll just be an even 3. And then I'll trash 2 force tokens, and get plus 1 power from our power up, so this will give us 4 power, which will be enough to defeat her if we successfully hit her. And she has no abilities that give her armor, so as long as she does not move, we will be able to defeat her. So as long as we are able to hit her, we will be able to do enough damage to her to defeat her. So 3 is going to be Living Death, which has a range of 2 to 3, and then a power of 4, a priority of 3, and then an infinite stun guard, which means that there is no way we can stun her via damage. Now, if there is an ability that says to stun the opponent, then she's still stunned. It's not stun immunity, which means that you can't be stunned at all, and it's infinite stun guard, which means that you can't be stunned by damage. So it's an important distinction there, but if we actually are able to hit her, we don't need to stun her because she will be defeated. And then she's a start a beat ability that says, advance until the opponent is in range. So she is going to advance 1, 2 spaces, and so now she is within range of me, and we are both on the same color space. Now, we have a priority of 3, and she also has a priority of 3, which means that we win ties, and so we're going first. And now, this is very bad for us because now we must advance or retreat 3+ spaces. Now, I can't retreat at all, so I have to advance. I have to go towards her. And so the minimum is 1, 2, 3. So now we're out of range, unfortunately. So that means that we're going to miss. So that is the action that would counter our move, apparently. So now we're not going to be able to hit her. We are within range. We have a range of 1 to 4, so we are within range, but we're in opposite colored spaces, and so therefore we're not going to be able to hit her, unfortunately. And so we could move 1 extra space. We could just move here, but no matter where we move, we're going to be within her range, so it doesn't really matter. We're going to go first, and we miss her, and then she's going to go, and she's going to do 4 damage to us. So now we are down 4 more health. And so we are at 23 right now, which is getting kind of low, but it is still higher than the amount of health that she started with, so we're still doing very well. We have 23 and she's got 4, so we're still doing well, even though we just had a very bad turn. So we're going to recycle everything. We have our 2 special artifacts back, and then we are going to gain 1 force, and then suffer chip 1 because of our infusion. Okay, so that didn't work, but let's see if I can figure out another attack pair that will win us the game. Alright, so what I'm going to try is, I'm going to try to do a gravity burst. So this is going to give us a minimum range of 3 and a maximum range of 6. And then, of course, we're going to be able to retreat 1 or 2 spaces, and then that'll be converted into pushing. And again, hopefully this works. So now I'm going to ante these 2 tokens here, get 2 armor, and then regain 1 health. And then let's hopefully draw a tile that will not completely foil our plans. Alright, and it's a 6. So 6 is going to be the Soul Rip. So this could be possibly very bad for us. So Soul Rip is going to have a range of X, which means that if we're on the opposite color space of her, then she's going to hit us for 7 damage. And then she's going to have a priority of 6 and a stun guard of 0. She ignores armor as well. Now, luckily we do have our start of beat ability on Burst, which is going to go before she goes. Even though she's got a priority of 6, this start of beat ability is going to go before her activation. So we're going to be able to retreat 1 or 2 spaces, and that's going to be converted into pushing. So we'll be able to push her 1 or 2 spaces. I'll push her 1 space, and now we are on the same color spaces, which means that I can't hit her, and she can't hit me. So that is very good. And so now she's going to go with her priority of 6. She's going to hit all the red spaces, but I am not on a red space, and so I'm not going to be dealt any damage. Now it's our turn, and we have a range of 3 to 6, which is going to be good because we are 1, 2, 3 spaces away from her. Now we're going to be able to hit her, and we have the optional push or pull ability. I'm just going to ignore that. We're going to do 3 damage plus 1, which means we are going to deal 4 damage to her, which is exactly what we needed to defeat her. And so that means that we are victorious. So now I'm going to read this epilogue here. With a hideous wail, the ghost vanishes in a puff of black light, disappearing into the afterworld to face whatever judgment awaits her crimes and greed at the hands of the demons. Piles of gold, jewels, and enchanted weapons litter the floors of the tomb, enough to outfit a whole adventuring party. With the loot in your sack and diary in hand, you report back to Tanis. You didn't read through it, did you? She asks, not waiting for an answer. Never mind, I'm sure the play will be a hit. But if you could just keep this between you and me, I don't want any spoilers leaked. So that is the end of the dungeon, and we made it out with 23 health, which is good. We started with 35, ended with 23, that's very good. And I hope you all enjoyed this playthrough, and I hope it was helpful to all of you, whether you're just looking at BattleCon and seeing if it would be the right fit for you solo, or if you're a veteran player who just wanted to see someone play through a game of BattleCon with the Clint Hyde character. Whatever your reason is, I hope this video was helpful for you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video and subscribe to MalStorm Gaming to see more content just like this, and in the meantime, I hope you all have a great day. Happy gaming!